Welcome to today's lecture on ROS2. In today's video, we are going to talk about launch files. In the past, in all the tutorials that we have done, anytime we had to start a new node, we would open up a new terminal and run the executable there. As an example, previously we had these two nodes that we were trying to run. One was to open up the simulator, Turtle Sim simulator, and we would say ROS2 run, and then we would start the executable, which would run the node in that executable. And then we would open up another terminal and start another executable in there. So this is what we used to do in the past, and this is what we've done so far. Now, with the toy example that we have, it's not a problem because it's just two terminals or maybe three at most that we were opening up to run the new nodes. However, in a complex robotic system, you might have many different nodes that needs to be run at the same time, or maybe they have dependencies on each other, and maybe they have different parameters that needs to be configured. So it can become cumbersome pretty fast in a complex system if you just rely on the mechanism that we have used so far. In order to mitigate all of that, ROS2 uses a launch system. So basically, you can write files which we call launch files, and in those launch files, you can basically describe what kind of nodes do you want to run, what kind of parameters they should have, what kind of nodes you want to run after certain nodes. So you can create the dependency. And also you can have many launch files and describe what nodes to be run in these different launch files, and then maybe have one master launch file that calls all the other launch files. So basically, today we are going to just talk through what launch files are, how to write them, and how to run them. I'm just going to close this out. So if we look at what we have done before using the ROS2 help, so if we just say ROS2 launch h, oops, I got a typo, ROS2 launch h. So with the launch file, with this launch command, you can basically run the launch file. And in order to run the launch file, you need to specify that file that you want to run. So there are a few different ways, and we will look at all those three different ways, and then these are other options here. But mainly, just focus on this, like how to run a launch file. But before we go there, let's just take a look at an example launch file. This is an example launch file. So basically, this is very simple. This is written in Python. And in this launch file, as we can see, we are doing just two things. So we are running an executable called Turtle Sim node, and then we are running another executable also called Turtle Sim. So we are running this in this example, we are running the same executable from the same package. However, we are opening two different instances of it. So basically, if you run this launch file, you will see that you will get two simulation windows with turtles in them. So this is just a very simple example. But you can have more complex launch files, because really you wouldn't need a launch file if it was this simple, right? So here is an example of formats that you can use to write launch files. So you can write them in either XML, YAML, or Python. And this is again an example of somewhat more complicated than what we saw before. So you can specify the parameters. Remember these parameters that we used to change the background color in one of our early tutorials of the Turtle Sim node. So you can do that through launch files. And then you can again, this is just running the node, so you can run the nodes, you can specify, and here is also running another node. So yeah, you can run multiple nodes through a single launch file. You can define the parameters, and you can also define where those nodes should be run. So things like that. And I will post the link of all of these in the description of this video, just to see. And they say you can use whichever format you feel comfortable with, but if you want more flexibility, then Python is probably a preferred way. Now, if you want to just see the results of what we just saw, you may follow this tutorial, but I'm going to skip this because it is pretty simple. So I'm going to skip this, because when we go to more advanced tutorials, such as in this intermediate section, under this launch, we will actually start creating a launch file and really start to understand the power of launch file in ROS2. If you want to get more details about the architecture, what all things you can do, there is a lot of detail out there, and again, I'll paste the links, but I'm going to save the content for a future video. In today's video, I just want to focus on basically, I just wanted to introduce what launch files are so that we can complete this beginner's tutorial. So with this, I will conclude that we have completed all of these beginner's tutorials. So you know what nodes are, topics, services, parameters, actions, and you know how to record data, logs, and then we just talked about the launch files. So this is complete. Now, if you just wanted to understand the basics and the language of ROS2, then maybe these are all the tutorials that you needed. But if you want to develop in ROS2, then we will have to keep going. So next, in the upcoming videos, we are going to go through these tutorials. So this is where we will actually learn how to write applications, or how to describe nodes, and how to build a package, things like that. So stay with me for the next tutorial if you want to continue learning more and building the applications in ROS2. Until then, goodbye, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.